I've had enough. It is time for Tony Khan to fix this with AEW. In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what that is because I have covered wrestling news for some of the biggest wrestling news websites out there for the last decade, and I've followed AEW's journey. I've seen the ups, I've seen the downs, I've seen the peaks, I've seen the valleys, and right now we're in a valley, y'all. We really, really are. And as much as I want to see AEW succeed, I have also seen the criticism. And I've seen the criticism and I agree with a lot of it. Look, I want AEW to succeed. I have watched their weekly programs on a consistent basis. I even purchased tickets to see them live when Dynamite came here to Tulsa in early 2024. Now, look, AEW, they have consistently put on some of the best pure wrestling matches in the entire world. There is no doubt that they have a loaded and stacked roster behind them. I mean, they have the who's who in this business. They've signed a lot of guys from New Japan, TNA, Indies, and WWE. They've brought over several future WWE Hall of Famers, multiple former world champions, some of the biggest names in the wrestling business, whether it be from the get-go, your Kenny Omegas, your Cody Rhodes, your Young Bucks, your Hangman Pages, your Chris Jerichos, your Jon Moxleys, all the way down to Adam Copeland, Christian, Bryan Danielson, and more, right? Saraya, Mercedes Moné, Okada, Ospreay, like the list goes on and on and on. And it's interesting because AEW, why did they succeed at first? Well, they were an alternative to WWE. WWE, in which put on a horrific product in 2018, 2017, 2019, 2020, 2021, right? And that was all due to a out-of-touch old man in Vince McMahon, that creep. Right? And so AEW, the quote-unquote t-shirt company, well, they thrived in that environment. AEW and its fan base was rocking, and they were putting on some of the best weekly television out there. The thing with AEW has always been that they put on great matches, but they lack storytelling. Well, it got me thinking because we are upon the Forbidden Door pay-per-view event, right? They've done this for the past few years now, and that is today's topic because if you look at AEW's working relationship with New Japan, it's kind of one-sided, and it has been one-sided the entire time because once you get your Ospreays and your Okadas, who is there really left in New Japan? Now, I'm sure you're going to throw out your Naitos and your Tanahashis and, all these other people, but at the end of the day, they don't really translate to top star drawing ability, right? It's not like an Ospreay who has made an impact on AEW since his arrival, or an Okada who has added to the top storyline going on in AEW right now with the heel Young Bucks and Jack Perry. Now, Forbidden Door has always been an interesting pay-per-view for me. I'm not a huge New Japan guy, but I understand why they do it. They have a working relationship with them. AEW, they're looking to increase the amount of pay-per-view events that they do every single year. You look at the fact that it's in the middle of the summer. It gives you something to look forward to ahead of that kind of dull period between Double or Nothing in late May, and then, of course, All In and All Out in August and early September. So I understand the necessary behind it, right? I get it, but at the same time, I think the gimmick of the pay-per-view has started to fade, and I think that they got to get rid of it. And that's today's video, because as much as it was intriguing when it first started, and even, the second one, I think at a time where AEW needs to start building storylines with talent that they have, I don't know if it's necessarily the greatest idea to go, okay, we have our storylines, but we're also going to bring in these other people from another promotion who will disappear after this event. And oh, by the way, we have a freaking loaded roster in which we don't use half of the talent that we have on payroll, right? That's one of the problems that AEW had with the ROH brand, where it's like, okay, you have all these guys, they're on an ROH brand, and they're holding ROH titles on AEW programming. We understand that AEW owns ROH, at least as the parent company, but they're two separate brands. I don't know. Everyone has a freaking title. What are we doing? Kind of thing. I also think that you're bringing in talent who are not strong on promos English-wise, right? They're good on promos in their way, right? New Japan, it's not even a language thing. It's a promo style way where New Japan is very burst oriented with their promos, unless you are an American or a guy that's not from Japan that will come over there and will do these loud, cuss filled promos. But if you see like actual Japan guys over there, it's very short, it's very to the point, right? Like it's just different. So you have to build the pay-per-view up on star power, and New Japan doesn't have a lot of star power right now. Interest has never been lower for New Japan programming, events, and news. It's just a reality of the situation. So at a time where New Japan's not hot whatsoever and they don't really bring a lot to the table, and AEW is in a situation where they're starting to flounder a little bit, they need to focus more on storylines, which they have tried to do as of late, a la the Young Bucks heel turn, the rise of Swerve Strickland, the return of MJF, right? When you have a situation where you can no longer rely on in-ring talent and in-ring matches to promote your product and get your product over, right, and promote a pay-per-view event, you would then pivot towards promos, but you really can't do that right now. Now, I think you get rid of Forbidden Door, you move it along. Maybe you do a special episode of Dynamite instead. Maybe that is the answer instead of a pay-per-view event. But I think taking, say, 3 to 4 weeks of weekly television across 3 different television shows, building up an event that not a lot of people are no longer interested in, I think is a waste of time, and I think it actually hurts you rather than helps you, right? Just because it works one time doesn't mean that it's going to work 2 times, and if it works 2 times, it doesn't mean that it's going to work 3 times. Usually if you go back to back to the well, that well starts to run a little bit dry and you don't get the same return in which you did at once upon a time. And I think AEW and Tony Khan are in that spot now. I want to see AEW succeed. I want them to thrive. I want them to put on the best product that they can. I just don't know if Forbidden Door and a working relationship with New Japan over the course of a month leading up to a pay-per-view event is necessarily the best thing possible. Let me know down in the comments area below whether or not you agree with me or not. I think most of y'all are going to side with me on this hot take. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you are notified every single time we upload new wrestling content here to the channel. Once again, thank y'all so much for watching, and I will see y'all in the next video.